All right, boys. We've survived yet another international break. I think we are all owed congratulations. This is Red Card Radio. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, whenever you're listening from. Thanks for tuning in. Red Card Radio is a weekly look at the Premier League from three friends who support different clubs. My name is James. I support Arsenal. With me tonight, that's Brad up top. He supports Chelsea. And down below, that is Sean. He supports Tottenham. Gentlemen, good evening. Hello. How are you guys?
I'm just excited for some football.
Oh, football.
Week 8. We're getting closer to a real table.
Closer, but not quite ready yet. We're still
Not yet.
what, like we need to play three more matches before we're able to take a gander at that. So we don't want to get ahead of ourselves. But before we dive into this preview of match weeks 8, I guess it is. If you could hit that subscribe button, ring the sub notification bell if you're on YouTube. If you're on one of the podcast sites, follow, rate, review. If the platform, whatever the platform allows you to do, all those things really do help us out. And just thank you generally for clicking on this podcast, for taking at least some amount of time to listen to us. We really do appreciate it. And, humbly, we ask that you stick around for the conversation. And yes, let's get into it. So match week 8 upcoming, 10 matches across 3 days. We've got the Saturday, Sunday, Monday fixture. Over the last few weeks, though, we've been, the best game of the weekend has been the last game. But now, Sean, are you excited for the Monday night fixture here? They're getting back to form for you.
Actually, yeah. That's actually going to be a good one, honestly. Forest Palace actually probably will be a pretty good game.
I actually think it will be I think it will be not as good as you anticipate it being, because Forest are so much better this year and Palace are pretty dreadful this year so far. So I actually think it might be fairly lopsided. Whereas you look at that at the outset, you're like, oh, that could be good. I'm worried that it won't be good.
So I think it won't be good, but for other reasons. Who's going to have the ball? Because Forest like to defend deep, Palace like to defend deep, and kick it to Eze.
That's interesting. Yeah.
So I don't know. I don't like the game. The game's going to be, it might be interesting for the tacticos out there, the people with the facts or whatever Sean calls himself.
Not me.
But I think I don't know where the ball is going to be, like what team wants the ball.
I always love whenever Brad is bringing up teams that don't play possession, they play a counterattack. He's always like, who's going to have the ball? Like that's like your go-to line when we're talking about. I remember a game it was like a West Ham game. It was West Ham against someone else, and you were like, "Who's gonna have the ball?" And it's just like, I just came to me when you said that. Well, Brad, if you're not interested by that game, what game are you interested by?
You know what? The game I'm interested by, I think we hit at the end, but I want to start our journey at the Delusional Derby.
You're going to have to break that one down for us, Brad.
Delusional Derby. The Tottenham versus
Delusional
fans. The delusion, the ideas of grandeur for these clubs in London.
Ah, I see. So the deluded, these fan bases are deluded.
Yes, deluded into believing that they are a much larger club than what they really are. But I think it's.
That is very rich coming from somebody who's finished outside the top 10 in the past 3 years twice.
Oh dang!
Wow,
that's some big talk for a man with less history than Chelsea.
Oh wow!
What have you done for me lately?
Won a couple of European trophies.
I always appreciate when you two going after each other.
Here, Spurs. That's what we do.
What kind of consistency are we talking about with Spurs, though?
Just because
I would just finish, fourth to seventh every year, 4th to 7th. just model of consistency.
Consistently,
last 15 years.
Consistently not winning trophies. Is that the consistency we're talking about?
That's a huge consistency.
Nobody is more consistent than us.
I haven't looked at that countdown.
That is true. I tend not to enjoy going that route with Tottenham, but I mean, I feel like you opened the door. I feel like we're gonna hit 17 years without a trophy.
I opened the door with a fact that they finished 12th twice.
True. That is a true statement.
So if we're talking about delusional,
well, one thing
it's in West London.
One thing I will say about Brad's comment on these teams being delusional, the West Ham fans absolutely do think that they're beefing with Arsenal over the last 2 years because we signed Declan Rice, and they're like they're really pressed about Arsenal results, and it's just like, settle down, buddy. Like we got bigger fish to fry than West Ham.
They have been delusional with us. They see us as the weaker of the three, which we have been.
It's true.
Now though, we did finish above Arsenal for a long time, so you guys were the weaker. But
wait, a long
for about
time?
7 years or so.
You were the weakest, is what he just said.
For about 7 years. For about 7 years, you were finishing behind us. So that's a long time. That's enough sample size to say you were weaker for a good amount of time.
Where is that picture I sent you?
Wow.
But they just try to latch themselves on to one of us three and try to make it a rivalry. It's not. West Ham fans, it's not a rivalry. No one else on this not Chelsea fans, Arsenal fans, or Tottenham fans consider you a rival. You're not a rival.
That's true.
You're no more a rival than we are with Brentford. You're no more a rival than QPR. You just happen to be in the same city. You're the same amount of rival as Millwall. That's it. We're in the same city. That's it. That's all you got.
All right, Sean.
Wow.
You guys finished ahead of Arsenal 6 times, not 7. And the combined point total for 4 of those years, it was 1.3 points, 1.2 points. I have a fancy, it's going to look weird if I hold it up to the camera, but maybe I'll post it in our Discord. But it shows since the Premier League era. And for those 6 years, only 2 other times. So for a total of 8 times in the Premier League era have Spurs finished above Arsenal.
We're not talking about the prime of Elizabeth's reign. We're talking about now. We're talking about
also, in my defense,
stages.
Another point that I'd like to make: this picture that I have does not even include last season. So, you know, you can make this claim if you want. I think it's foolhardy. Personally, I think it's foolhardy. It's not the point I would try and make if I was a Spurs fan. But
it's just funny I'm gonna bring jumping like the last 2 years ago for me, and then he's going 7 years later for you in these arguments about how Tottenham is not delusional.
So this is all recent. This is the last 7 years. Like what are we talking about?
And
bring it all together for all of us. Let's end on a good note for all of us. West Ham are a rival to our 3 teams in the same way that a nail is a rival to a hammer.
Dang.
It is not a rivalry.
Hammers are saying they're the nails. Okay.
So how many goals are Spurs going to win by? What's the scoreline?
It's going to be 3-1 because we can't hold a clean sheet.
Oof. Oh, 3-1?
If we could hold a clean sheet, it would be 3-0.
Watch this end up 2-3 and Tottenham's winning for 60 minutes again. I'm not saying that's gonna happen. I'm not. I haven't done my predictions yet. Predictions aren't in the Discord yet.
Well, they're not for us, but they are for some people.
Correct.
Some
people may already hit full send.
Important picks for some. I think that Brighton loss is going to be galvanizing. So I think it's going to be one of those ones where the players were disappointed. Ange was beyond reconciliation. I
But
haven't
then they
seen
all
him that way
left
so far.
and went
They didn't even know what to say.
But then they all left and went to vibe
not
with their
vibing.
countries.
And all of them dominated. Vicario got a start, played. Poro got an assist for Spain. They all contributed in some way. Kulusevski got an assist. I think Radu got a goal. I mean, they were all out there doing things for their country, and then now they're coming back. Now we're ready to get after it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you guys are going to win this game pretty handily.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think it's going to be really tight.
The only other note I have on this is, why is Paqueta still allowed to play?
Because
he's under investigation for match fixing.
And I guess
the investigation has not concluded.
Is it? Okay, so that it's never going to conclude because he's still playing games that he's probably match fixing, and they can just keep the investigation going up until the leaking barrel of gunpowder catches up to the barrel. Like if he keeps running with the barrel, the line that's on fire like the cartoon, it's going to keep going.
They are in the middle of 115 at least 115 allegations against one club right now. They got their hands full. They'll get to him. Don't worry.
They only need one lawyer for this one. He did it. Like that's yes. His betting records match up with him getting a yellow card in the game that he bet on himself to get a yellow card. That should only take one lawyer. It's not a very extensive investigation.
Yeah, but they're all being used to fight countries. So
okay. All right.
So
all right.
I think the 10 a.m. games are going to be the sweet spot on Saturday. Like,
yeah.
Besides Fulham, Villa, and I think literally, this probably isn't spicy because screw United, but Fulham at home against Villa is kind of interesting. Ipswich, Everton is levels. United, Brentford are levels. Newcastle, Brighton are kind of levels. So like that's a very
Southampton, Leicester.
Are all levels. Like all 5 of those games are all I would put as levels. Like the most lopsided is clearly Villa, like Fulham Villa, out of all of those games. That's the crazy part.
Well, to be fair, if you just look at it on paper, United and Brentford, that should be equally lopsided. But for
how much confidence do we have in hey man, one team is 11th on the table and one is 14th with more than a 1 point difference.
Yeah, no, I agree with you, but like if you just think about it, like just kind of if you take away, you would expect if you take away the season and the context and all the things that help us inform these decisions, and just think about Manchester United as an institution, then clearly they should be bigger than Brentford, right?
Hey, listen. They are cutting away the soul of that club right now. Okay, they are refusing to write checks to legends. How dare Ineos do these things?
You're referring to the Sir Alex Ferguson dismissal as a paid ambassador at Manchester United.
I don't understand the big deal. Like the legends of United were coming out of the woodwork to be like, I can't believe they would do this. They're paying him multi-million dollars a year to be an ambassador. He's still allowed to be an ambassador. They're just not paying him. He's still allowed to come to all the games, be the ambassador. He's still on the executive board of ambassadors. They're just cutting him out of $3 million a year.
Hey man, that $3 million a year, man, that $3 million a year will pay for what? How many 6 Anthony games?
How many Anthony spins?
Saving up all the Anthony dollars right there.
I was saying this to you guys privately. I'm very pleased that when Wenger left, he left and like didn't look back for like 3 or 4 years. Like obviously, like I revere Arsene Wenger as an Arsenal manager, and I did not like the way that his tenure ended. I would have preferred he stayed when he did leave, but he left, and so whatever. And it was kind of his decision, I think influenced by other things, but I think it was ultimately his decision to leave. But he left and didn't hang around. He wasn't involved in the Unai Emery hiring. He wasn't involved in the Mikel Arteta hiring. He wasn't involved in getting Edu appointed to be the president of football operations or whatever his title is. Like he left and he got a job with FIFA, and he came back for the first time to the Emirates, I think last year, and it was like this huge celebration. Like it was like almost like a party, because like this person who had been so influential at the club, came back, and he's not trying to be influential. He's not trying to pull the strings. He's letting the club breathe. And I think that that's actually been really useful for Arsenal. But like every time, anytime at a United game, when you're watching a game and something goes wrong, there's a cut in the camera to Sir Alex Ferguson. Like United gets scored on, you get a cut to Sir Alex Ferguson. Somebody like Ten Hag gets sent off or gets a yellow card, there's a cut to Alex Ferguson. And it's just like, I think you're a little too close, bro. Like,
yeah, I think that like the club was allowed to grow outside of Wenger, which I think it was a big deal for Arsenal, and like United, like it's still Fergie's club.
Yeah.
Just to say it more clearly, more concisely, not clearly, more concisely than what you did.
Yeah.
Fergie hasn't let the club grow past him, and we've seen that stagnant since then.
He handpicked Moyes to be his replacement, and then like that just didn't work out. But he's always been there, so I think it's good. Long term, I think it's good. I see here there's looks to be a fairly spicy match up at Anfield.
Ooh, red versus blue.
I'm reliably informed it's the red cartel versus the blue cartel, and it's first versus fourth. That sounds right. So is Chelsea fourth? Yeah, Chelsea's fourth.
Yeah,
so
Chelsea's fourth.
Liverpool-Chelsea Sunday morning from Anfield. Brad, is this the biggest test so far of Enzo Maresca's Chelsea side?
I think so. And I know we played City the first week, but like it's also match week 1. So I would say coming in after 7 games and the vibes are good. We're scoring goals. Our defense still isn't quite there. I think this is going to be that type of, this is going to be the test of what is this team right now? This is the first, I think, real true mirror. And we did play City really, really well. I know we lost 2-0 and like you lost, so you didn't play as good as you should have. But for the first match week with a new manager, we played really well. I'm interested to see this. This game, see how we line up.
Chelsea is the second most productive offensive team in the league, behind Manchester City. And obviously, if you like eliminated Erling Haaland from that, that's a different story. Going up against Liverpool, who are the most defensively strong side in the league. This is Liverpool's only conceded 2 goals. How is Chelsea going to score?
What do you mean? How is Chelsea going to score?
It looks like we've got prime Van Dijk back.
Palmer's on the right side, sir. Van Dijk's on the left. This screams of a like, and Nico, like, I know you guys typically don't watch Chelsea play.
True.
But if you watch Nico and Van Dijk, like Virgil is very hands full with Nicholas Jackson. So we get more penetration than most teams do.
Do you mean historically, like last season? Yes. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Historically, when you're watching the battles between Van Dijk and Nico, it's very, very competitive, and it's a lot of work for Van Dijk to be keeping up with Nico, because Nico will put his back on him, will not necessarily body him because he doesn't have the body for that, but he's always around, always looking for that run behind. And so it's been a very interesting battle. Like, I think the goal differential, and again, both new managers this time, no Klopp, but like all of these games end 1-1, 1-0, 0-1. So
don't you guys traditionally like nobody had won this fixture in years or something like that?
Yes. Yeah, it's been like 1-1, 0-0. Like, it's been crazy. But they also don't have Allison anymore either, right? Allison's out hurt. True. And so I think
you're just gonna allow him to states one of the historic battles in Premier League history between striker and center back is Nicholas Jackson and Virgil van Dijk, and you're just gonna move on and
Well, I don't think he claimed it was one of the best battles in recent Premier League history. I think he was just saying that specifically about that one.
Okay.
Obviously, we know that the
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Erling Haaland versus Saliba and Gabriel is like the most iconic center back versus
I don't know.
center forward.
Holland had a lot of trouble with Joachim Anderson from Palace before he left. He's somewhere else now. But I think he's at Fulham.
Yeah. No, I wasn't saying that. I was saying that it is a very good battle
Okay.
between the two of them.
That Virgil van Dijk has his hand full with Nicholas Jackson specifically.
Yes. And I think even Virgil van Dijk said that last year. I have to find it, but I'm pretty sure like he talked about how hard it was defending him.
Big Verge.
And without Allison in the sticks, I think we have a much better chance to get something. Over these next 4 games, if we end up with 7 points, we got Liverpool, Newcastle, United, Arsenal. From that, if we end up with 7 points, I think that's a great run through those 4 games, especially with all the other cup games and European action. And we're not traveling to Germany. We're traveling to Greece or Kazakhstan or something crazy like that in between there.
Wait, so who do you have? You said 7 points between Liverpool, Newcastle, Arsenal, and who?
United.
Okay, so you can have 3 points against Liverpool. 3 points against. Yeah, well, I'm just thinking about which how you get to those 7. You can have 3 against
United and Newcastle.
No. I got it worked out here. You get 3 against Liverpool. You take 3 against Liverpool. You take 3 against United. 1 against Newcastle. That's the play. That's the play.
Is that what you're cheering for? Is that what's going to be on your bingo card?
Yeah, sure. I'll take that. Yeah.
Listen, I said 7 was the minimum.
I think
for 10.
For
10 or 12. But
I think 7 keeps you right there in the top 4 battle, in the battle for 4th. I think only taking 7 out of those next 4 will hurt your chances to push higher long term.
I don't disagree with that. It like 7 is the minimum that like I think we should get from this.
I mean,
10 doesn't sound terrible.
Well, conceivably, I could see you guys taking like less than 7, like very. I mean, like that's a very tough 4-game run that you're talking about.
It is, and we have Newcastle in the EFL Cup, and I think a Greek game in there somewhere too.
Don't you guys go to like Kazakhstan at some point?
Yeah, Greece, Kazakhstan. I think is in December, so maybe that'll be warm for them. So
same thing. No,
because
Kazakhstan in December will not be warm.
It's very cold. Very cold. Very cold.
My man's playing in the mountains. What else? Any other tasty fixtures? Arsenal is away at Bournemouth this weekend.
Bournemouth get some goals?
I mean, with the way that we're defending, yeah, probably. We haven't been as defensively resolute as we have been in previous seasons. But like I look at that and I kind of think that against Bournemouth we kind of have to take full points.
Oh yeah.
I mean, they lost to Leicester, they lost to Liverpool, they lost to Chelsea. That definitely seems like a fixture that we need to take all 3 points. Well, now everyone's silent.
No, I think so. Sorry. Yeah. No, we back in here. Yeah, I mean, I think that we already talked Forest Palace that we think like I said, who's keeping the ball. See anything else jump out at me? We already talked about the levels of 10 a.m. on Saturday.
The one match we didn't speak about was Wolves hosting City. And the only reason we didn't discuss that is because we didn't want to take bets on how many goals Haaland's going to score.
I mean, the other question is is Gary O'Neill still the coach at halftime?
Yeah, that's the problem for Wolves, I guess, is that this is conceivably like a lot of goals for Wolves against Wolves, a lot of goals for City, and then Gary O'Neill gets sacked. But I hope he doesn't.
I think Gary O'Neill is a good coach. I think Wolves are just in a terrible position consistently. Like they didn't really add anybody. Can we think of who they added? And they lost Neto. I think they lost somebody else.
Um,
I don't know, but like I also think Gary O'Neill is a good manager, but when you're 0-6 with one draw, 9 goals forced and 21 conceded, it kind of takes away your argument to say, man, he's a pretty good manager. You know, it kind of
yes,
it takes all your
agreed.
ammunition to say, I know Gary O'Neill is a good manager. I guess I can say that I've seen him be a good manager. Right now, under what they are currently doing, I can't back it up.
Yeah, they have 1 point through 7 matches. Like that's
Yeah.
obviously unacceptable. Like
Correct.
and they're gonna have one. They're gonna have
But it's
1
not
point through 8 games
It's not
as
just
well.
that. It's the and it's negative 12 goal differential plus what City put on them. I mean, it looks awful optically.
I mean, like they're gonna be on 1 point with like a negative 17 goal difference after this weekend. And yeah, like that, you know, you've played almost a quarter of the season at that point. You've played close to a quarter of the season and you have 1 point. Like that's not, you're going to have to go on a run to stay up. And the thing that is working out for them well is that they only have to get to 17th to survive. And right now, Ipswich only have 3 points over them.
I will give them this. They had the worst start of anybody. So maybe that's considered by the board.
Yes.
Started with Arsenal. Yeah. Arsenal away, Chelsea at home. Chelsea put the boot to them.
Yep.
They got their draw week 3. And then they lost to Newcastle close. Then they had Villa away, Liverpool at home. Actually kept that one close. Brentford put the spikes to them, but now they're going to City. So, or they're hosting City. Sorry, but like that's a tough start. Going Arsenal, Chelsea, Forest, Newcastle, Villa, Liverpool, Brentford, City. That's a rough. And then they got there's no reprieve next week. They're going to the Amex.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think he survives these 10 games, but like I really don't think he's. But also, I mean, they lost a right winger in Podence. They lost Kilman to West Ham, and they lost Neto to Chelsea. There isn't a single name that I'm looking at. Like I'm looking at the transfers in and out on the Premier League website, and there's not a single name that jumps out at me that's done anything that they've transferred in.
I'll tell you what, though. They go down. I'll take Nori as a backup for Udogie. I like him.
Yeah, Nori, like he is a good player.
Nori is good.
He's a very offensive-minded defensive player.
Yeah.
Like he just gets in the box.
Well.
I don't understand how he yeah.
He has a nose for the right place to be. He's got a good feel. He's got a good feel for the game and a good feel for spatial awareness. And he goes forward really well, and he's got a good passing ability.
Yeah.
Any thoughts, James?
Sorry, you guys were talking about difficulty of schedule, and it reminded me that this morning the Premier League released, there's something called the fixture difficulty rating that they use, and I think it's most primarily used for like FPL type stuff. But they had a write-up on the Premier League website about who has the most difficult FDR in the next 10 matches. And so I was looking to see if they had a similar post for like the first 7 matches, but they did not. But if we're looking at the fixture difficulty rating, Wolves in their next 10 matches have the third easiest fixtures coming up. And so that could be a situation like after City,
they played all the hard ones.
Yep, they had a torrid first 8 matches, and then the next 9 are eminently winnable. So, what's up?
I'm looking at their ranking.
Mm-hmm.
Aston Villa at home is even to Everton away, and even to Manchester United away, which is interesting.
Yeah,
I'm a 4 now. Like, I want to know what this is.
riveting radio.
No, it's
sorry. That's what we do here, Red Card Radio.
You guys were saying something. You guys were saying something about Ait Nori. He's a good footballer. I agree.
Yeah,
positional awareness, something like that. Kicks ball good.
You nailed it.
Got it.
Nailed it.
I knew I could keep up with you Neanderthals.
Got it.
Well, since this riveting radio has dragged on a little bit longer than I think any of us anticipated, Sean, why don't you take the last word?
Come on, you Spurs.
Wow.
All right, there we
Wow.
go. Hit us up on social.
What's the last word supposed to be? I didn't know if you were setting me up for something else.
No,
That's
no,
the
I
most
was.
bottled Tottenham ending we've ever had. Let's go. Come
I just
on,
wanted you to have the
Spurs.
final say. That was it.
Well, that's all right. All right, there we go.
All right. Well, hit us up on social media. Up top, that is at KSBradG. Down below, that's at Whiteheart_Sean. I am at James Tiffany. Come on, you Gunners. You can reach us all at redcard_radio. And that's all we got.
Keep the blue flag flying high.
Keep the blue flag flying high. That's an awful, awful saying.
I didn't want to say, come on, you Blues. I wanted to switch it up a little bit.
Yeah, well, that's the hashtag.
Could be anybody if you said that. Yeah.
True. Yeah, come on, you Blues. Is that an Everton slang? That is probably Everton slang. Something that the Everton supporters are saying. That's all. We only have one episode this week. It's our preview. So make sure you get your picks in on Discord by the time the games start. Obviously, you'll get some leeway. Chap, good looking out. You already got yours in 8 days early. My man is locked in. Said it with his whole chest. But you should get your picks in as well. Do that on our Discord. It's linked in the description of this video, and we will be back next week to break it all down for you. Thank you so much for listening, and we will see you all next time.